A respected CEO's booming tech company was falling apart from the inside. Employees quitting, projects stalling, and whispers of fraud. So her quiet, pie-baking mother secretly joined the staff as a lowly cleaner, uncovered shocking betrayals, and exposed every culprit in a single explosive meeting that changed the company forever. Fire them all. Those were the last words anyone expected to hear from Mildred Jackson, a soft-spoken grandmother who usually spent her mornings baking pies and tending to her tiny backyard garden. Her neighbors knew her as the lady who handed out warm cookies to children after school, not someone capable of raising her voice, let alone making such a powerful demand. Yet there she stood, her voice firm and steady, carrying the quiet authority of a woman who had seen more of life than anyone in that glittering office could imagine. Mildred wasn't just any grandmother. She was the mother of Aaliyah Jackson, the 34-year-old founder and CEO of a fast-growing tech company in the heart of Atlanta. Aaliyah's company, Jackson Technologies, had made headlines for its groundbreaking software and lightning-fast growth, climbing from a tiny startup to a multi-million-dollar powerhouse in less than 5 years. Investors were excited, the media adored her, and on the surface, everything looked like a perfect success story. But behind the glossy articles and cheerful press releases, Aaliyah sensed that something had gone terribly wrong. For weeks, she'd been restless, pacing late at night through her apartment while the city lights flickered below. Employees were leaving without explanation, projects were falling behind schedule, and customer complaints were beginning to pile up like storm clouds on the horizon. Her board of directors assured her it was normal growing pains, yet her instincts told her otherwise. "Something's wrong inside my company," she confessed to her mother one cool autumn evening as they sat together at Mildred's old wooden kitchen table, the smell of cinnamon tea drifting between them. "When I visit, everyone acts perfect. Smiles, handshakes, all the right words. I can't see the real picture. It's like they're putting on a show just for me." Mildred listened in silence, her warm brown eyes focused, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She had raised Aaliyah to trust her intuition, to believe that quiet observations often revealed more than loud speeches. After a long pause, Mildred set down her teacup and leaned forward. A small, knowing smile curved across her face. "Why don't I take a look for you? Without anyone knowing who I am," she suggested softly, as if the idea were the most natural thing in the world. Aaliyah blinked, startled. "You? Mom, you're serious?" "Serious as a heart attack," Mildred replied, her voice carrying a calm determination that left no room for doubt. "Let me go undercover. I'll work as a cleaner. No one notices the cleaner. I can watch, listen, and find the truth you can't see. You built this company with your own hands. Baby, let me help you protect it before it's too late." The following Monday, Mildred arrived at the glass-walled headquarters wearing an old janitor's uniform and a name tag that read, Millie, the corners of the paper tag slightly frayed to make it look worn. Her silver hair, which normally framed her face in soft curls, was hidden neatly beneath a faded navy baseball cap. In her hands, she pushed a cart that squeaked faintly with every turn of the wheel. Mops, sprays, rags, and a bucket of water her only companions as she stepped into the bustling world her daughter had built. At first, no one paid her any mind. Employees hurried past with coffee cups and glowing phone screens, their voices rising and falling in the rhythm of meetings and deadlines. She moved quietly through the halls, mopping floors, dusting corners, and emptying trash bins with the steady grace of someone who knew how to work without drawing attention. It was almost comforting, the hum of printers, the distant murmur of conference calls. Yet beneath the shiny surfaces and designer furniture, she could sense small cracks. As the hours passed, those cracks widened. Mildred began to see a side of the company her daughter never witnessed. Some employees were kind, genuinely kind. A young intern smiled each time she passed, even pausing to hold the door open. A receptionist whispered a polite good morning, her voice warm despite the ringing phones around her. These small gestures reminded Mildred of the goodness she hoped still existed in the heart of the business. But others? Downright cruel. A tall manager with slicked back hair barely looked at her before barking. "Hey, cleaner, You missed a spot, snapping his fingers as though commanding a dog. Mildred's grip tightened on the mop handle, but she kept her eyes lowered, saying nothing. Another employee shoved a trash can toward her with his foot, muttering under his breath about lazy janitors. The break room revealed even more. Two team leaders leaned against the counter, voices low but sharp with bitterness. She got lucky. One scoffed, referring to Aaliyah. No way she built this company without help from her rich friends. Yeah, the other agreed with a smirk. All that talk about hard work is just for the press. But she barely shows up. Mildred felt her stomach tighten, a cold knot forming beneath her ribs. She kept wiping the table, each slow stroke of the rag hiding the storm of anger rising inside her. They had no idea the cleaner they dismissed so casually was the CEO's mother, standing right there, absorbing every cruel word. And they certainly didn't know she was silently taking notes that would soon shake the entire company to its core. By the second week, Mildred's small spiral notebook, originally meant for grocery lists, was filled with page after page of troubling observations, each note scribbled in the careful, looping handwriting she'd perfected over decades. She had started the undercover job, thinking she might catch a few careless habits or minor rudeness. But what she discovered went far deeper than she could have imagined. One of her earliest entries described a senior manager who made a habit of strolling into meetings just as presentations were wrapping up. With a charming smile and a few well-placed comments, he would claim the innovative ideas of junior employees as if they were his own. Mildred watched the frustration flicker across the young workers' faces, but no one dared correct him. Credit theft, she wrote in the margin, underlining the words twice. Then there were the supervisors who treated the time clock like a personal playground. Two of them regularly arrived 20 or 30 minutes late, only to adjust their time sheets afterward as though nothing had happened. It wasn't just laziness, it was deliberate deception, the sort that could ripple through the entire payroll system. Mildred jotted down dates, times, and even the excuses they muttered while slipping in. What unsettled her most, though, was the cruelty. Several staff members had targeted the young receptionist, a shy woman with a soft voice and quick smile. They mocked her behind her back, calling her airhead when they thought no one else was listening. Mildred once overheard them laughing in the hallway after the receptionist stumbled over a phone transfer. "She's basically decoration," one sneered. Mildred's heart ached. She remembered how hard her own first job had been, and how a single kind word had once kept her going. But the most chilling moment came late one evening in the dimly lit server room. Mildred had stepped in quietly to wipe down a counter when she heard two employees whispering near the hum of the machines. "We can skim a little from a budget," one voice said, low and urgent. "She'll never notice." "Exactly," the other replied with a short, sharp laugh. "The boss is too busy showing off to investors to track every number." Mildred froze behind a tall cabinet, her heart pounding. This wasn't just bad behavior. It was theft, plain and simple. She waited until they left before slipping out, her mind racing. Back in her supply closet, she opened the notebook again and wrote a single, heavy line, embezzlement risk. As she closed the cover, Mildred realized this was no longer just about protecting her daughter's reputation. What she'd uncovered was a toxic culture that could destroy the company from the inside out if someone didn't act soon. On a Friday afternoon, Aaliyah called an all-hands meeting that felt, at first, like nothing more than a routine end-of-week briefing. The message had gone out early that morning. Mandatory attendance. Conference hall, 3 p.m. sharp. By the time the hour arrived, the sleek glass-walled room buzzed with low chatter. Employees carried notepads and coffee cups, expecting updates about new clients or the next big software release. A few joked quietly about weekend plans, unaware that the air was about to change. The sliding doors opened, and every conversation stopped. Aaliyah entered with quiet authority, her black blazer perfectly pressed, her expression unreadable. But it was the woman walking beside her who caused a ripple of confusion. Mildred, no janitor's cap, no card, wore a crisp navy blazer and a string of pearls that glimmered beneath the lights. Her silver hair framed her face elegantly, and for a long second the staff simply stared, trying to reconcile this poised woman with the cleaner they had passed in the hall for 3 weeks. Gasps broke the silence. Someone dropped a pen that clattered against the polished floor. "Everyone," Aaliyah began, her voice steady but edged with something harder than usual. "Meet my mother, Mildred Jackson. For the past 3 weeks, she's been working here as your cleaner." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others avoided eye contact, eyes fixed on the carpet as if hoping it would swallow them whole. Mildred stepped forward, her gaze calm but unwavering. "I came here," she said, her voice carrying across the room without a microphone, "to see how this company really runs. And what I saw broke my heart. Some of you are kind and hardworking, and you treat every person with respect, no matter their title. To those people, I give my gratitude." She paused, letting the compliment settle before her tone sharpened. "But others, well, you know what you've done." From her handbag, she drew the small spiral notebook, now thick with pages. The faint sound of paper turning seemed deafening in the silence. "Here are my notes," she continued. "Dates, times, actions. Every word is accurate. I saw managers stealing credit for ideas, supervisors altering time sheets, employees mocking a colleague who works the front desk, and I overheard talk of skimming money from company budgets." A nervous cough echoed. A chair creaked as someone shifted, pale with dread. Mildred began to read. One by one, names and incidents filled the room. A manager who claimed a junior developer's breakthrough, 2 supervisors who falsified their hours, employees caught bullying. Each revelation was a hammer blow, undeniable and specific. There was no room for excuses, no place to hide. By the time she closed the notebook, the conference hall felt heavier, charged with a silence more powerful than any shout. Everyone understood that nothing in the company would ever be the same. The fallout was swift and unmistakable, like a storm that clears the air after weeks of heavy humidity. By Monday morning, official memos circulated through every department. Those caught stealing or bullying were fired on the spot, escorted out of the building by security with quiet efficiency. The senior manager who had stolen credit for other people's work was among the first to go, his once confident stride replaced by a slumped shuffle as he packed a single box of belongings. 2 supervisors who had falsified their timesheets faced immediate suspension and a formal investigation. Mildred's detailed notes left no room for debate. Every incident was documented, every date confirmed. But Aaliyah and Mildred made it clear this wasn't just about punishment. It was about building something healthier. In a meeting that Monday afternoon, Aaliyah addressed the staff with a balanced mix of firmness and hope. "We are not here simply to remove bad apples," she said, her voice carrying through the open concept workspace. "We are here to protect the good people who make this company worth fighting for." Together, mother and daughter announced a sweeping set of changes. There would be an anonymous hotline where employees could safely report harassment, fraud, or any unethical behavior without fear of retaliation. They introduced monthly shadow days, during which executives would work frontline jobs, answering calls, cleaning workstations, handling customer service tickets, so they could stay connected to the everyday reality of the company. And perhaps most significantly, all managers and team leads would undergo mandatory leadership training centered on respect, diversity, and communication. The reactions were mixed. Some employees left quietly, their shame or resentment too heavy to bear. But many others stayed, shoulders relaxing for the first time in months. A programmer who had once considered quitting shook Aaliyah's hand after the meeting and whispered, "Thank you for finally seeing us." In the weeks that followed, the atmosphere began to shift. Hallways that once echoed with tense silences now rang with easy laughter and lively collaboration. Teams brainstormed freely, no longer afraid their ideas would be stolen. Customer complaints, once a growing storm, dropped dramatically as morale improved. Productivity climbed higher than it had in years. And Mildred? She returned to her quiet life in her cozy neighborhood, baking pies, and tending her garden, though employees often sent her handwritten thank you cards and begged her to visit. When she did drop by, she was greeted like family with hugs and warm smiles. "I'm proud of you," she told Aaliyah during a celebratory dinner one crisp evening. "You built something powerful. Now it's honest, too." Aaliyah reached across the table, eyes shining. "I couldn't have done it without the world's bravest undercover mom." Mildred chuckled softly, lifting her teacup in a toast. "Sometimes," she said, "a company just needs a little mother's love and a sharp eye to keep it true." If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another powerful video. Thanks for watching.